Hello and welcome to Baffling Cyclops. I'm David.
I'm Pepper Proxy.
And we're here to share our thoughts about this week.
I have a few.
You do?
I do. Do you?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Awesome. Why don't you get started?
I was going to ask you, have you read about the lawsuit that got filed against Subway?
No, I can't wait though.
Well, it's interesting because in California, a lawsuit has been filed saying that the tuna fish in Subway sandwiches is not tuna.
Oh yeah, I did see like on my Flipboard. I saw the headline, but I didn't read it.
Well, and that it's a concoction of unknown elements is what the lawsuit says.
But no offense to any of our listeners that get the tuna from Subway, but who gets tuna from Subway?
Well, my argument is with the lawsuit is if there is any company that is going to tell you exactly what you're getting, it's Subway. So
Okay.
I don't think that Subway would try and pass off fake tuna.
Under the guise of tuna salad?
Yeah.
Because they do that. Well, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to do like a seafood salad that was like that fake KRAB salad.
Right.
And I liked it.
But it is, which was actually made from seafood, though.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like a fish paste.
Things from the sea.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
seafood. But Subway swears up and down that it is actual tuna and they
Who
catch it.
filed the lawsuit?
Well, this is my point, is I think...
Bumblebee tuna?
Yeah. I think it's a lawsuit where the people were trying to get money from Subway by saying there is no tuna in your tuna.
Oh, it's like is that extortion?
Yeah, and so they were trying to get Subway to settle out of court, and Subway didn't settle because they
They're
have...
like, it's tuna.
It's tuna.
Tuna's not that expensive.
And the lawsuit says it was tested and there's no tuna in it, but there's no reference to any testing.
Oh.
The people who filed the lawsuit say they don't know what's in it because the test only identified what's not in it, what is in it. So it all sounds, and it says, the lawsuit, I read it, it says over and over again, just that there's no tuna in the tuna sandwich. It says it's buffet of tuna. It says it does. It's like a crazy list of phrases like that just say like there's no tuna in it over and over again. And I think just like you did right when we first started talking, I think the danger is that people expect who don't eat at Subway, they expect it to be gross and to not have tuna in the tuna sandwich.
In my opinion, the only gross thing about Subway is Jared.
Right, which is gross.
Yeah, but their sandwiches, like, I don't think they do the $5 footlongs anymore, but you can pick your toppings, like, and you don't even have to get any meat topping. You can just get veggies.
Well, and that was the other lawsuit that they had a few years ago, was they got sued for the $5 footlong because people said they were only 11 and a half inches long.
I remember that. That was kind of funny.
Which I think a judge eventually said was ridiculous.
Do you really want that extra inch of bread?
Well, and it's, and in Ireland, they said it's not actually bread.
Oh, yeah, because there's sugar or something,
Yeah,
right?
because they consider
Sometimes an extra inch is meaningful, but when it comes to...
when is an extra inch meaningful?
I don't want to get into it. I will later on in the podcast, though, because I do have an example of a mistake I made this week that
an extra inch,
yeah, or more, very meaningful. But can I just say one little thing?
Of course.
Okay, so we were like last year before the pandemic hit, we were eating a lot of mostly plant-based food.
Yes.
And we definitely were not adhering to like a strictly plant-based or vegetarian or vegan.
We had made an effort to be more plant-based.
And can I just say, like, I'm not a fan of the imposter proteins.
Yes.
And I understand why some people really like them, and it's like if you really want a burger, but because you are eating a plant-based diet because of health or you don't want to harm animals, but you really remember those burgers and you get an Impossible Burger. They're good.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm going to just say fake meat because I don't know of a better word to use, but the fake meat is incredibly expensive, or way more expensive than like a can of bumblebee tuna. Like,
Well,
I don't get it.
and here's the one of the tricks in the lawsuit is their complaint is you pay extra for a tuna sandwich from Subway more than a cold cut sandwich, which you do. It's almost $1 more for the premium ingredient. So
Tuna. Okay.
So, but the article I read,
There's
I
only
can't
so
remember.
far that mayonnaise can go. I mean, seriously.
I'll include the article in our newsletter, but the article I read, which I think it was Vice, said they did some basic math and figured out that a serving of tuna for the Subway sandwich would be about 16 cents.
Yeah.
And so they
Because
said,
it's not like premium, like
What?
chunk white in expensive olive oil
what?
from.
They were like, what could they possibly have done
Right.
that would justify them lying about it being tuna to save a few pennies and charge $1 more? So they're charging $1 more for the premium ingredient, which
I
also
don't know. Like jackfruit is so much more expensive
Right.
than I'm like trying
an
to think.
Impossible or
Yeah, anything is so much more expensive.
and I'm sure there's a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of mayonnaise with their tuna. Like it's
Yeah,
not like
it
it's not a
is.
fillet of tuna.
No, I mean it's like tuna fish. It's like old-fashioned 1980s tuna fish salad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I think it's a
Very.
big con job.
Yeah, they were trying to extort Subway.
And they found a company that a lot of people already have a negative view of, even though
Yeah, because of Jared.
And in my estimation, I think that Subway is less junky than some other places. And if you have $5 and you can get a sandwich for lunch, good for you.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they do the $5 thing anymore.
But I mean,
I think you have a choice. Like you have a choice at Subway.
right.
What's in your pretend bread sandwich, where you don't always have a choice at other places.
And I think it says more about what people think about Subway than reality.
Yeah.
That they would believe that. Because I think, for example, you'd be much more likely, and I'm using you in the generic sense, not you specifically,
the
royal
royal
you.
yeah.
I think you'd be much more apt to believe that Taco Bell wasn't using real beef in their tacos
Yeah.
than if I said Chipotle bowl is not using actual pork in Chipotle, whatever they call it.
Do they even have a pork option at Chipotle?
I think they do, yeah. But I'm just saying, so so it's just the standard of the restaurant
Yeah.
that is making people think like, well, of course it's not. So it does hurt Subway in the sense.
Well, so many of those Subways are franchises too, and I know
Right.
when, like, gosh, it was 15 years ago. Subway was like on fire, and they were popping up everywhere. And I think it was like a $5,000 or $10,000 buy-in, which is a lot of money, but it's not that much money, and so you could have your own business. So
For
it's
sure.
hurting like those folks.
And do you remember in our old neighborhood, we had that sandwich shop, a Subway, where the manager left, and the crew kept trying to keep it open, and like they didn't know what to do because they wanted their paychecks from corporate. So they took money from the till and they went and bought cold cuts from Larry's Market right there.
He had Larry's Market, which is no longer around. Great grocery store. It was so expensive.
Yeah, and they were just trying to keep the thing running, and so they narrowed down the menu to like 2 different kinds of sandwiches, and they did all.
I
of
don't
this
remember that at all. Was it a Subway right there at where Larry's Market was? Like,
Yeah.
it's like a little. Aw, bless their hearts.
I know, they tried. And at first everyone was
Successful. These are great sandwiches.
well, someone showed up and figured out what was going on. And at first they were going to fire all of them. And then the people who eat there were like, how could you fire these people that were trying to keep the restaurant going? They were all like teenagers trying to figure out like how to keep it going so they could continue to have a job. But anyway, that was always an interesting.
I would watch that movie.
That
TV show, if it was like a little sitcom, like on Netflix, totally.
Yeah, the managerless fast food
sandwich
place that just keeps going.
Yeah, the sandwich
what I would have loved is to go in there and you're like, I would like the turkey sandwich, and then you get it and it's just 2 slices of bread with the turkey in it instead of the foot-long one, and they're like, what's this? And you're like, well, we ran out of bread, so we're replacing it with this.
I have to say, overall, I would much rather eat a sandwich made from ingredients from Larry's Market than from Subway. I loved Larry's. Oh my God. Do you remember when they opened, I took like spy pictures?
Yeah. I don't know who you were spying for, though.
Myself.
So
I love grocery stores. I just love them. Yeah. That was great.
So do you want to tell your story from this week?
Okay, so this is why an inch matters. I really effed up.
Really?
Really effed up this week. So I'm a huge fan of Mary Mecco, which is like a Scandinavian Finnish design house at this point. We are also in need of everyday plates. The plates we have are great and lovely, but there are some chips there. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been able to go to the Goodwill to shop, because I would totally get plates from the Goodwill, because sometimes people donate stuff they shouldn't really donate that are
it's nice,
really nice. But so I was like, okay, I am gonna bite the bullet and order some Mary Mecco plates. They were on a online shopping site that's a discount shopping site, and it was a set of 6 plates, very expensive still, on sale for this secondary shopping site, and they were $23 a plate, which is
Yikes.
But I decided, okay, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. It will look great with our dining, when we're eating, we're gonna like them. I thought they were oversized. I thought they were 13.5 inches in diameter, which is a really good size plate. And so I ordered them. And I was so excited about them. And I even told you, sometimes I just spring that stuff on you. But in this case, I told you ahead of time.
You said they were slightly oversized. You were like, they're bigger than usual plates. I think they might be chargers, but we can just use them as plates.
Yeah, because we're big eaters.
Yeah. Well, you were like, even if we eat just a little bit, we can pile it in the middle of the plate. Yeah,
so my first moment of realization of how I effed up was when we got the the box came, because I also ordered an apron in the same fabric as our dining room chairs. It's like this great pattern. You can maybe put it on the newsletter. And a set of 4 placemats. And normally I'm not a placemat kind of gal, but I thought, oh my gosh, these oversized dinner plates that are polka dot, white and black polka dot, would look so cute on these placemats, and then with our chairs under, I was envisioning, I was doing tablescaping, as Aunt Sandy would say.
Yes. So you're going to make a tablescape.
Yeah. So the box came and it was really, really small.
I know you. And I got a text at work with your hand, basically picking up one of the plates with your hand. And it's not, you don't have a big hand.
I do. I actually have man hands. I have giant hands, and I'm proud of them. They're really
not
big.
Not compared to me.
Well, no, because you're a giant. But for a small, petite woman, my hands are ginormous, and I love them. I can do a lot of things with my giant hands.
So an inch makes a difference in your hand.
It certainly does. But it makes a huge difference when it comes to a dinner plate. So I effed up.
And it was 13.5 centimeters.
Which is about 5 inches in diameter. smaller than a salad plate, like an oversized coaster.
Almost as if you were going to do like tapas or something.
Or like a coaster for your coffee cup.
Right.
I was so effing disappointed. And then I couldn't stop. I was home alone and I was like, oh my God, did I like what, where are my plates? Did they pack the wrong order? What have you? And then I couldn't stop laughing because the plates were so small and the set of placemats I ordered, it wasn't a set of placemats for $26. It was one placemat for $26. So,
but all of the plates would have fit on that one placemat.
Plus some. So that was kind of like why an inch matters.
Instead of a centimeter? There's a difference between a centimeter
Yeah.
and an inch, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah. And the description, I have to say though, luckily the description was so wrong when I ordered it. And I was going to send them back. It's a $9.99 return fee. But I was going to send it back because it was expensive. But when I did my chat with the customer rep, I just wanted to double check. I'm like, did the description say? Because they were sold out. So I couldn't pull up the description anymore. And she said 135 centimeters. And I asked her, I'm like, Vicky, that's her name, Vicky, are you sure it's not 13.5 centimeters? She's like, nope, 135. And I was like, well, that's about 5 feet. Like, she's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to send you a return label for free.
Aw.
It was awesome. Like, great customer service. It was guilt.com, in case our listeners want to know.
So we had another moment when both of us were laughing super hard this week. And I should start this out by saying we have a neighbor across the street who does resistance training in his front lawn. And
wait a minute. Can I just say, I'm all for staying physically fit.
Oh, yeah.
And I maybe work out too much, but it helps with my anxiety and sleeping. But not only does he do resistant training, their front yard is like maybe, I don't know, like 2 feet by 1 foot. Like,
it's pretty small, but he does resistance training with one of those rubber bands.
Yeah.
Like the giant bands.
Yeah.
And just so people have a picture of what it is. And so
for hours
in the front lawn. And he does things, he doesn't just do like the traditional stuff. Like he'll just like lean back and use the band to stand back up over and over and over again.
Like you do squats with the band. You do like there are certain things you do, and he has extended that repertoire.
And I actually was laughing during. And he can't go to the gym, which is one of the reasons I should say that he did it this summer.
More power to
him, and he was probably doing it for hours at the gym, but now he's doing it for hours in the front lawn.
Are you going to say what he did this summer, though?
Well, the one thing he did in September was when we had so much smoke out, he did his workout for 2 hours in the smoke outside with his resistance band.
When they were saying public warning, do not go outside,
do not go outside.
Keep your windows closed.
He was deep breathing out there with his rubber band around his chest.
With an audience.
Well, that wasn't that time, but one of my favorite things, we have a very cute couple of kids that live across the street from us who we call sister and brother.
Yeah, Blondie and brother.
Yeah. And they,
because she's like your sister.
Yeah, she does look like my sisters when they were little.
Yeah,
but there was one day where he was working out in the middle of summer. And they were just standing and staring at him.
When Blondie was about 4 and brother was maybe 1.5.
And they did, for like 20 minutes, they just stood and stared at him because he was just repeating the same motion over and over again.
And this teeny little like square of grass.
And he's like leaning back and then getting drawn back up by the resistance band. Yeah. And I don't know what they were thinking, but it cracked me up so much because they just kept saying, and then like I was working from home at the time, and so like I would do some work, and then like 10 minutes later I'd get back up, and they were still standing there just staring at him. Yeah. It was like the best kid TV, and I was imagining the gears in their head trying to figure out what that
Well,
guy
we were
was
trying
doing.
to figure it out. So imagine Blondie and Brother.
So cut to this week. We watched
When we're watching The Good Wives.
Yeah.
We were like, again.
So cut to this week, and we're heading up to bed, and right before you get up, I'm like, oh, that guy's doing his resistance band across the street, and
Well, I don't even think you knew what it was.
Oh,
did you know it was a resistance band?
So
You said he's working with the rubber bands.
well. So I said that guy's working with his resistance band, and you did not believe me. And
because it was...
it's like 10 o'clock at night.
We're early birds. We go to bed like at 10 or
Right.
sooner, earlier. But it was like a Sunday night.
Yeah, and then you looked out, and across the street, his window was open, and you just saw his whole body just bob back up and forth.
Yeah.
And we both just laughed so hard.
It was funny to me.
Yeah. So that was Resistance Band. All right, well, thanks, everybody.
Bye!
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. And to read our show notes, sign up for our newsletter at bafflingcyclops.com.